Hello everyone, welcome to another quick tutorial on how to make the player play a flinch animation when the player gets hit. This is a special request from one of my commenters, We Are Nim. I'm making this video today. I hope you really like it. Please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you like these type of videos. Let's get into the video. I'm going to be using this animation as my flinch animation when the player gets hit. This is the best thing that I could find in Mixamo, but in your game you would use whichever flinch function you would like. I have imported the animation in the standing React. It's just a drag and drop into the actual folder. And then I've also went ahead, right clicked on it, create a retarget animation. And I selected Manny, SKM Manny. And then when I double click on it, you'll see how SKM Manny reacts the same way that the Mixamo character is reacting. Export animation, you can choose to do a prefix. And then I've selected the animations folder for the third person and I have exported it. And now if I close this out, you'll see this is the export animation on the Manny. Now that we have the export animation, we're mainly going to be using our animation blueprint to take care of this flinch. So let's go to our animation blueprint and then go into the anim graph. If you're using Unreal 5 or above, you would already have this. But if you don't, wherever you have your locomotion set up, you want to make that locomotion into a locomotion cached pose. It's very simple. You just drag off of it and then say cache. And then you can have a new cache save and then name this like local whatever, which is already set up here for you. And then you would create a new state machine, which would be state machine. And then you would name this like main state or whatever, whichever state you would like. And inside of the state machine, you add in a new state. And then this would be your locomotion. This is what you see up here. If I do this, you can see this. And inside of this output result, you will just search for that cache post that we just previously did, local, and then you would just add it in here. That's all it's done here, right? If you go in here, this is what you see. And that locomotion comes from this cache post. So we're going to work off of this. And then now we're going to go to this main states, right click here, and then add a new state and name this flinch. Again, if you're using Unreal Engine 5 or above, you should already have this, so you don't have to recreate it. But if you are not, then you may have to just do this. Or you can even add it to your existing idle animation or walk animation. But it's easier to just do a cache, so all of your idle and your walk is being controlled here, and the flinch will be something that we add on top of it. And we're going to add a new variable to tell the game that if the player is flinching or not. So we're going to go and add a new variable and name this B is flinching. Question mark. And there'll be a type of Boolean. Compile this and drag off of this locomotion and then drag from this flinch back to locomotion. So it goes both ways. Inside of the arrow that goes from locomotion to flinch, you see where the arrow is pointing down. You're going to double click on that trigger and then you're going to drag this is flinching directly into the result. What this does is when the flinching is true, the animation state is going to switch from locomotion to flinch. And here, we're going to come back to this trigger back into locomotion once we're done this flinch. Inside of this flinch, we don't want to simply drag this and then connect it. That would not look really good because every time the player gets hit, the character is going to stop, going to do this. Instead of having to do this while moving, it's going to stop and do that, which is not something that will look good. And this is how it would look. If you were to get hit, and if you move, you'll be sliding all over. So we're going to blend the animation so that it looks good. So the player will do this animation while running as well. To do that, we're going to go ahead and put in a new function named layered blend per bone. Now drag this, our flinch reaction, and then connect it to blend pose 0. Now we're going to get the cache post locomotion and then collect it into our base pose. This locomotion again is the same locomotion that's here, which is controlling our idle, walk, and such. So this way, we could be walking and also playing this flinch reaction at the same time. So this will actually blend it. To blend it, we need to tell this blend which part of the bone you want to start blending from. So if I go into my SKM Manny, you can see pelvis is the actual hip. And then from there onwards, from 0.1 to 0.5 is the actual spine. If I open up this actual animation, I want the character to from the hip onwards above. I want the player to play the react, including the hands, the head, and all of it. Every time the player gets hit, the legs I don't want it to play. So because I don't want the legs to play, and I only want to play above the hip, I go find the bone above the hip. It could be pelvis, but I'm going to use spinal 1. I'm going to right click and then copy selected bone name, and then go here, click on the layered bone, blend per bone. Where it says layer setup, I'm going to open this up, and where it says index, again, open it up if it is closed for you. And then on the branch filters, click on plus, and then there will be another index 0 with 2 members. Open this up again, and then it will ask you for the bone name. Here, you can just right click and then paste it. That'll give you spinal 1. And the blend depth, I'm going to leave it at 1. And now we can connect this here. Just like that. We don't need to select anything else. This is all perfectly fine. And that's all we have to do. Now compile and save. Again, now we go back out to our main state. And on the way back from flinch to locomotion, we want to only go back from flinch to locomotion when the flinch is like the animation is almost done playing. So we're going to go and search for a new node named time remaining. What this will give you is 2 options, either time remaining ratio for the react animation or the time remaining for the react animation. So we're going to click on the time remaining react animation. This is the name of the actual animation that I'm using, the RTG standing small react. Drag off of this, and then we're going to say if the animation playtime, the time remaining on it, is less than 0.1 seconds. That means it's like almost done, and add additional. But for the purpose of blending from flinch to back into locomotion, I think this would do the trick for now. We need to notify this item BP that the player is flinching and player is done flinching. We're going to use the interface function to handle this. So back in our BPI Dungeon Manager interface, we're going to go ahead and create a new function, add in a new function, and then name this notify underscore player hit. The reason why I'm using player hit instead of player flinch is off of this player hit notification or this interface function, we can actually call out so many different other functions, like making the player bleed or player fall or whatever the case may be, and then also the dodge animation, if you're playing a dodge and if the player gets hit, you want to interrupt the dodge. So that's why I'm naming this very general and naming it notify player hit. And off of our third person, where we have the event any damage, where we actually take the damage, after we take the damage, we're going to go ahead and then say drag off of our mesh, and then drag off of this and say get anim instance. And off of this anim instance, we're going to say player hit. And this would give us our Dungeon Manager message, notify player hit. And then connect this over here. Now back in our animation blueprint, in our event graph, we're going to go ahead and then open the interface, and there's a notify player hit. We're going to implement this event. When this event gets implemented, we're going to go ahead and drag our flinching here and then set it to true. And also what I'm going to do is, just so that I want this to turn off, I'm going to do a quick delay, about 0.2, and then I'm going to set this flinch again to false. Now remember, our animation does not rely on this flinch going to false to go back into idle, because if you look at our states, our flinch state, and it will go back into the walking and running animation when the flinch animation is about less than 0.1 second. So it doesn't really matter if your flinch is true or false at this time. After it goes into the flinch, it doesn't matter what the condition of the flinch is. But the next time when the flinch goes into true, it will go back into the flinch. So let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to go here and press H. This will spawn in an enemy, and I'm running. And you'll notice that when the enemy hits, I'm doing the hit animation. And the enemy misses, enemy hits, and there's my hit animation. Now again, if you notice, I can still move while being hit. The animation's a little terrible per se, but it's a free animation, so you can't really complain. But it works. You would play a shorter animation. You would only do like a small little flinch rather than this large flinch animation that this is playing. But as you can see, every time the player gets hit, the player gets flinched, and the player is also moving while playing the flinch animation. All right, folks, that's it for the tutorial today. It's a very quick one just to show you how to do the flinch animation on the player when the player is getting hit. If you have any other queries, please feel free to put it in the comment section below, and I will get to it as soon as possible. Once again, thank you very much for coming this far. If you like these type of videos, hit that like button and also subscribe so you get notified as soon as the next video gets posted. And this also helps the channel grow to reach out to more developers just like you. Until next time, have yourself a great day. Bye bye.